Sorry about that. Apparently, I had some technical difficulties there. Hi. That was weird. Sometimes the computer decides it wants to update literally. Do you want to update now? And I'm like, no, I don't want to update. And it wants to update like right as it's about to start. Oh, we have to make sure it's really you. I'm like, of course it's really me. I didn't sign in and sign out. I didn't do anything different. And suddenly it's like wanting me to put in my credentials and my ID and my password. And it's almost like it's pilot error, but it's not. Pilot error is when I don't notice that the timer runs out. That's totally on me. Or when like the heater goes off because it just did. And it will again because I forgot to turn it off again because I was running late running down the stairs. But then it was compounded by pilot error of the computer. So anyway, how's everyone doing tonight? Excellent. So glad that you're here. Episode 137, October the 16th, 2025. I have to bitch for a moment. I went to a meeting tonight. No, not Alcoholics Anonymous. But anyway, I went to a meeting tonight. And just, it's supposed to be informative. And it was just the two panelists, and there was a moderator. The moderator just did a horrible job. I'm just sorry. Because if someone just sits there and pontificates and just goes and it's like, stop them, interrupt, ask a question. You're the moderator. You don't just sit there and nod your head and listen like a bobblehead. I was like, come on, man, really? It was a complete waste of an hour of my life. Everyone there that I talked to, I was just like, what a waste. Like the one person tried to ask a question that was very informative and very like right on, spot on. Here's what this meeting was supposed to be a question. And it was brushed off with like, well, this. And then went right back to pontificating and bitching. And I'm like, okay, well, you tried. So I just want to bitch about that. I'm like, if you're on a panel, especially if you're the moderator, do your job and moderate. Good God. I mean, I will never go back to that again. It was just horrible. I was just like, really? It's like, bro, you're supposed to like actually moderate, not just sit there and just like, sorry. If you see this, yeah, that's me bitching about you completely because you didn't do your job. And again, the people that just pontificated, like, come on, man. I don't really give a crap about like how cool you are or how hard it is. Talk about the thing that you're supposed to be doing on stage, discussing this thing that you discussed as a panelist. Okay? There you go. That's my rant, my bitch session about people. Man, I mean, I've been on panels. You just stick to the subject at hand. And I've moderated. Focus the person that's talking. That's your job. What can I say? I'm perfect. All right, let's get into it. Episode 137. Hey, this is still a thing. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. For now, I've got to find something else to put up there that's like meaningful and real. 1986, Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards organizes a concert for the birthday of Chuck Berry, also celebrating the release of his movie Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll. The rock and roll legend Chuck Berry's 60th birthday is held in St. Louis, Missouri on this night as a concert. And performing is Richards, Johnny Johnson, who I don't know who that is, Eric Clapton, Etta James, Linda Ronstadt, Robert Cray, Julian Lennon, and others. Now, I mentioned Etta James, and the last thing I did tonight was put down the people that died on this day, and the last one I put down was Etta James. So, well, that was a weird coincidence that I was like, oh, all right. So, yeah, so the first story is about Etta James, and the first story has Etta James in it, and the last thing I was going to talk about was Etta James. So I just combined the two. So, I liked Etta James. I've seen her perform. 1923, Disney Brothers Cartoon Studios is founded by brothers Walt and Roy Disney. Roy Disney. Like Roy from National Lampoon's Vacation. Roy Wally. That's, I think, a nod to Walt and Roy Disney. Roy Wally of Wally World. Anyway, was in Los Feliz, California, beginning what would become the Walt Disney Company. So there's some of these little weird things tonight that I was like, wait, oh my God. And there's one that I was just like completely, it was toward the end. I'm like, wait, what? I'll have to explain it. And if you too have ever seen it, you'll be like, wait, what? Just saying. 1992, October 16th, David Letterman does his 1700 show for late night. 1700. I'm at 137 and it's killing me. How'd this guy do 1700? I haven't even gotten to 200 yet and I'm already beat. Just saying. Just saying. 1700. Good God. Also in 1992, the 1963 pilot that was shot for Gilligan's Island, never shown before on television, premieres October 16th, 1992 on TBS. The original pilot for Gilligan's Island. We just talked about the reunion show the other day, and the only one left is Ginger, Tina Louise, because they all got rescued from the island. She's the one that wasn't in the show. She's the one that's still alive. So all I can say is maybe they should have stayed on the island or not ever gotten back. Tina didn't. She's still here. Coincidence? I think not. I think not. 2002, the movie 28 Days Later premieres in London. Now, I have not seen 28 Years Later because it's been, 2002? It's not been 28 years. That would be 23 years. But I guess you could make it 28 years since if it's the same actor, it seems like it's 20. That's just 5 additional. But I'm interested in seeing it because, in 28 years, you think the zombies would have rotted if they're not eating anything. Wouldn't they just rot? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't even give you the slightest insight onto what it looks like. As soon as it comes out on one of the streaming services that I'm able to get for free, not that I don't pay for the streaming services, but not like to pay the additional money for the movie, I will report on it. How's that? Okay. Unless you've already seen it and you can tell me. So just type in your answers below and tell me how 28 Years Later was. Because I don't know. 1951, Richard Penniman, 18, was already using his stage name, Little Richard. This is 1951. Little Richard was 18, and he was already using his stage name, Little Richard. He made his first recordings for RCA Camden in Atlanta, Georgia, on the radio station WGST. That's all. There was no more of the story. That was it. I'd give you more, but I don't have more for that one. And I didn't research it because I was really running late tonight. Like I said, I went to that meeting. I got home late. I had to eat some food, and it was kind of like, what the hell's going on? Why is the camera doing that? That was weird. I think the camera was having a seizure there. It was getting lighter and darker, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I have no idea. Just did it again. Why is it doing that? Stop it. I'm going to have to change it, make sure, maybe it's on autofocus or something. It's changing the light or something. I don't know. I'll have to fix that. It's annoying. Sorry. Okay. Only because Frankie Lane was #1 in the UK single chart with the hit song A Woman in Love. It was his first and only and final #1. Now, this is 1, because it was a one-hit wonder, and 2, because Frankie's nickname was Mr. Rhythm and Old Iron or Old Leather Lungs. old leather lungs? So I was like, either he smoked like a chimney or if he was able to like sing long notes. I don't know. Why would the hell you would be old leather lungs? That just seemed really odd to me. I did listen to the song. It was definitely like big band. Frankie Lane. It was definitely like big band song. You know, there's a lot. It sort of swelled up in the beginning, and you know, I was like, oh, yeah, this is sort of big band. A lot of swelling, sort of like Frank Sinatra a little bit, but definitely some big band stuff there. It wasn't horrible. I'm not going to say it was horrible. There is a song coming up that I'm going to tell you that was absolutely freaking horrible. I'm like, what the hell? Like, really? That was number one? 1958, Muddy Waters made his UK debut at the Odeon Theatre in Leeds. It was part of the it was part of the Classic Century Music Festival that was mostly mainstream artists. Remember, Muddy Waters is a blues guy. A trombonist named Chris Barber invited him on this 10-day tour to come and perform with him. Apparently, at the time, Chris Barber was one of Britain's most popular musicians in the 1950s. Butchered that. That was just horrible wordplay. I usually try to remember most of the story, but man, I just butchered that one. Sorry about that one. 1961. Now, I kind of remembered this, but I wasn't sure. 1961 released the song Crazy on Decca Records. Okay, Crazy. That was Patsy Cline. Okay. The ballad was composed by Willie Nelson. Now, I think I remembered that. I think I remembered at some point that Willie Nelson actually was the person who like created Crazy for Patsy Cline. But apparently he didn't. He actually made it for this guy named Billy Walker. Billy Walker declined to perform it. Billy probably regrets that now. The song went to number 2 for Cline and eventually became one of her signature songs. Patsy Cline always sung Crazy. Not that I saw Patsy Cline, but you always saw that. What it also did was the success of Crazy helped determine that Nelson was a superstar when it came to both songwriting and performing. It spent 21 weeks on the chart and again helped Willie Nelson break into actual performing after writing Crazy. So I was like, oh, neat. A lot of musicians got their start writing and then crossed over into the actual performance part. We talked about somebody did that last night. Excuse me. 1962, October 16th was the first night of a 2-month-long Motown record package tour. So I guess it would be like, you know, all these artists that were sort of startup artists for the record label. They shove them all together and send them on the road at these sort of package tours back in the 60s. So this one started in Washington, D.C. The tour featured Marvin Gaye, Mary Wells, who I didn't know who Mary Wells was, The Miracles, and, okay, this one I was like, wait, really? 1962, a 12-year-old Stevie Wonder. 12 years old. Okay, you're on the road, kid. 12 years old. I mean, I don't know. Was there parental supervision required? Did you just throw him in with Marvin Gaye and the group? I was so curious about that. Because in 1962, you would think that, you know, there must be some parental supervision, or is it just like, go tour and make money for his kid? I don't know. That would be a question for the ages. I'm curious as hell about that one. It just seems a little bizarre. But I mean, I guess, sure. I mean, you know, when Lorde first was touring, she wasn't 18, and her mom was with her. Sorry, like I said, forgot to turn off the heater. And if you don't remember or you weren't here yet, I have steam heat. I have a radiators and I have a boiler, and the steam goes throughout the house. It condenses in the radiators and eventually drips down here. And there's a big box that catches all the steam and condensate and turns it back into water. And then it pumps it back into the boiler. And that's that loud noise. The which, yes, you can hear through the whole damn house because it's really loud. Anyway, I'll try to remember to turn it off. It just happens more and more when it gets colder and winterier. So anyway, yeah, I mean, what I was saying was when I met Lord, her mom was with her. But again, she was groomed to be like a performer. Her mom was just like, straight on. So Lord was very much like created to be that pop star. But again, 12-year-old Stevie Wonder, I don't know. Must have had some good composure at 12. 1965, the Beatles record in Abbey Road Studios, London. On this day, day tripping. It was a day tripper. I know, leave it up to the Beatles. It took them 3 takes to get it right. And then they added the vocals and a few overdubs. And by the end of the day, they were done with it. So it took the Beatles 1 day, this day, 1965, October the 16th, to create Day Tripper. I think that's pretty good, right? I mean, that's a good day's work. 3 takes. How long is a song? 4 minutes? So 12 minutes of singing, some overdubs, and call it a day. We made a hit. The lack of talent in me sucks. Just saying. 1967, Joan Baez, who I've met, actually, and 123 others are arrested outside Oakland, California, protesting for some civil disobedience as they blocked the entrance of a all-armed forces induction center. I'm not sure why. Probably protesting the war. 1967 is Vietnam era, so I'm sure they're protesting the draft, soldiers being taken into the draft and sent over to Vietnam. But yes, civil disobedience. I think we're going to see some of that in the next few days. Civil disobedience. Today's the 16th. I believe that's on the 18th of this month. There'll be civil disobedience. That is the word that we will use to be polite. 1969. Again, here's another one. There's 3. Bobby Gentry was number 1 in the UK on the singles charts with Burt Bacharach and Hal David's song, I'll Never Fall in Love Again. I'll never fall in love again. Listen to that. It's okay. Not horrible. But again, one-hit wonder. Never charted again. Bobby Gentry. That was it. 1969. Another one-hit wonder in 1976 was Rick Dees. You might remember that name, Rick Dees. He was a TV and radio presenter. Rick Dees and his cast of idiots went to number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with the song, ready for this one, Disco Duck, and parentheses, part 1. What the fuck? It was terrible. I was like, it's just bad. It's just really bad. Disco Duck. What the crap, man? 1976, it became a number 6 hit in the UK, but it was definitely a one-hit wonder. It was just terrible. It's so bad. Disco Duck. Man. 1972, Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, splits up following the abysmal failure of their latest release, Mardi Gras. I looked it up. I guess it just plummeted. Didn't chart. It was just terrible. So the band broke up. After some limited successes, John Fogerty, the dude of CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, had some limited successes as a solo act. And then some legal hassles as well with Fantasy Records. That was their record deal. I remember there was some stuff back in the day about that. Because I read some other things about that. I was like, okay, all right. Finally, John Fogerty had two big hits in 1985. One with Centerfield and the other with Rock and Roll Girls. His brother Tom, unfortunately, died in September of 1990, and the surviving members has been touring as CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revisited. Instead of revival, revisit. This is where it already was revival. It's revisited. I was like, oh, cute play on words. They're still CCR. Meh. I don't know. I have not heard anything about that. So, now the furnace is lit. So I'm surely making that whir noise at any point whatsoever. Maybe I'll get done before then. Maybe I won't. 1982, Culture Club. Come on, you know Culture Club, Boy George. Appeared on the UK TV show Top of the Pops. And they did perform Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? Do you really want to hurt? They were booked on the show due to a last-minute cancellation. The band that canceled was Shakin' Steve. Shakin' Steve. Not like Scuba Steve, but Shakin' Steve. Who was apparently ill at the time. The song became a major hit after their memorable performance on the popular hit music TV show. I tried to find it. I did not look long enough, but I'm sure it's out there. I was trying to find the memorable performance of Culture Club's Do You Really Want to Hurt Me at Top of the Pop. I will do that after the show. I will look for that because I was interested in seeing it, what was so memorable about it. And maybe it was the same one we've seen, but I don't know. 1992, Bob Dylan, on the 30th anniversary of his recording debut, created a tribute concert at Madison Square Garden, New York City. Guests were Neil Young, Eric Clapton, George Harrison, Roger McGuinn, Tom Petty, Ron Wood, and Dylan himself. That's a pretty substantial lineup. I wouldn't have hated to see that in 1992. Dylan, also in 2001 on this date, was denied entry to his own concert. Apparently, for his show, Love and Theft Tour, Dylan demanded that it would be extra security. And he wanted security tightened up at all the entrances and around the entire venue. When Dylan showed up to the venue, he did not have credentials, and the security guards denied him entry. I guess so much so that Dylan actually had the two security guards fired that denied him entry because they were so good at their job. You're the one who said tight up security, and then you fire the two guys that do the good job. You should have promoted them, okay? Just because they didn't let your ass in. Bob Dylan, bad karma, man. You don't fire the people that are protecting you, especially when you tell them to do a better job of protecting you. Last couple things. 2006, on this day, October 16th, the legendary rock club CBGB's closes its doors forever. Credited with the launching careers of Patti Smith, the Ramones, Blondie, Talking Heads, and many others, CBGB's is credited with helping to launch the U.S. punk music scene. It opened in December 1973, and CBGB's was originally called CBGB OMFUG, and it stood for Country Blues Grass Blues and other music for uplifting gourmandizers. Gourmandizers like gourmands, like food eaters. I did make it to the legendary club couple of times in my days back when I lived on the East Coast. Even so much to go to see the Ramones one time. Maybe that's why they're my favorite bands. I taught I at Rutgers University in 1981, I think, or maybe the fall of '81. I think it was in '81, and they were playing in like the green at Rutgers University, and I'll never forget. Jerry Moe was sitting there and he was like playing away, and somebody threw there's a bunch of frat boys and just people rowdy at the green at Rutgers University, threw a giant beer, like just hauled up and like hit him right here, just like everywhere, just, and right back to playing. I was like, brilliant. Loved that. I was like, that is the way it should be. Speaking of Patti Smith, on this day in 2015, Patti Smith was moved to tears when a fan returned a bag that had been stolen 36 years earlier. 36 years earlier. The bag contained the shirt that she wore during the 1978 Rolling Stones cover picture of her, as well as a bandana given to her by her late brother. The bag was stolen in 1979 outside a hotel in Chicago after they had played a gig in Chicago, and the van with about $40,000 worth of equipment and her bag was stolen. I found that to be rather uplifting. I was like, you know what, that is... that sort of takes back what I said last time, people are the worst. I mean, they're still the worst, don't get me wrong. So I did at least notice that the timer was going off, so I didn't screw it all up tonight. I mean, people are still the worst. But at least, that was... And where this person found it, I don't know. But to know to even give it back to her, interesting. All right. Born on this day, 1947... of the Grateful Dead, Bob Weir. Oddly enough, born on this day, who is now 48 years old, of Dead and Company is John Mayer. So Weir and Mayer both get to celebrate birthdays when they're out on the road together. Cheers to Bob and John. I mean, Bob and John. Sounds like the guys from that crazy Canadian show. Gary Kemp, born on this day, of Spandau Ballet. And Michael Balzery. You know who that is? I didn't. It's Flea of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Flea, born on this day, 1962. Flea being 64 then. All right. The only person besides Etta James, the only person that I found that any note was George Liberace, who died on this day. And they showed a picture because I was like, Liberace. I'm like, wait. So George Liberace. And I don't know why. It just flashed back to my brain that at some point there was a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And I don't know if he was like playing the piano or something, but I remember Bugs Bunny going, I wish my brother George were here. And I was like, holy crap. It was George Liberace, and he was mocking Liberace. I wish my brother George were here. Just never understood that as a kid. And for some reason, tonight, the engram fired, and it was like, bang. I'm like, oh, crap. I wish my brother George were here. That was Bugs Bunny making a reference to Liberace and his brother George. It had to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense. And if it's wrong, well, then so be it. I don't... told he was going to do it again. So be it. Maybe it's wrong. But I don't think it is. I'm going to definitely take that leap of faith and extrapolate the fact that I wish my brother George were here. Because I wish my brother George were here. He said in a very, very artsy way. Let's put it that way. That has to be it, right? I mean, and again, if you're not old enough to remember Bugs Bunny and that episode, sorry, sorry that I just, like I said, my brain just fired some weird synapse, and I'm like, holy crap, it happens. We have weird synapses that do that, right? All right. Um, Tomorrow is Friday, and I can't believe the week's gone already. The auction's up. I think I forgot to bring the URL, but it's like Paul Delphi stuff. I will promise I'll have it tomorrow, and I'll put it up as a screen cap, and I'll post it and put it up there. You can look at the whole time. Okay, I'll do this. I'll put it right there. It'll be right there next to me. Auction for big room bar and radio station crap is what it'll say. And it'll have his URL. Okay, promise. I'll make note of that. I'll actually make that when I get done with this. I'll go make a screenshot of that. And there you go. That's what happened today in history of musical note, and a little TV as well, because I have to throw that in there because there's interesting things. I didn't find any actors born or dead today because I didn't look, so don't know. If we missed someone good, sorry. Happens. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go sit on the couch. More like lay on the couch. Probably fall asleep on the couch because that's what I seem to do. It's comfy. The couch just eats me. No comments. I need no comments about me passing on the couch. Nothing. All right. So I appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for your friends. I'm grateful for my friend Don, just so you know. Don, the idea guy who pops in here occasionally. And I'm appreciative, I'm grateful for you, whoever you are. I see you out there. I can see concurrent viewers. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you being here. Truly, I do. Thank you. Have yourself a great rest of your evening and have an awesome Friday. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Until then, fade to black. Do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry?